The next adventure is to see what other stories and people have been in our midst all along. To find out what we might have passed by the first time. We should see differently with traveled minds. It seems necessary that whatever we might have gathered up since heading out, we should weave back into the old cloth. And while doing that work, we should be able to see better where we fit and where we flourish.
Everybody called me a hero. I was no hero. I just got into the place where they thought I was a hero. You know, people should know. It ain't fun to stir up a war.
Having slashed through Luxembourg, Belgium and Holland, 5 German armies fanned out across France.
Did you grow up in Alliance?
I grew up in Alliance, yes. I grew up and I had 2 parents who was beautiful people. They knew nothing but work. That was back way before your time. And they struggled. They didn't even have electricity. I went to a 1-room school, which a lot of old guys would tell you, oh, I struggled to get to school. Well, a lot of them are lying. But anyway, I did. I went to 1-room school. It's still standing. It's fallen apart. The roof is shot, everything. My mom canned, coal packed everybody back in them days. They had a cow and a garden. We had nothing. But we always had my mom. My job was, mostly we had chickens, but we did raise some turkey. Oh, butchering time was something. Oh, you want to know about Thanksgiving. It was cooked in a good old oven. My mom knew how to cook. My grandma knew how to cook. My mom made bread 2 to 3 times a week. Homemade bread, no store-bought, and she couldn't afford it. But I always loved homemade bread. Her and my dad shoveled coal for ever since I can remember, up until the time he started a filling station and done really well. And it's still operating, but he's been gone. He's forgotten about it. But he worked. All he knew was work. I remember when they struggled to feed us. But between him and my mother, super people. My dad walked back and forth as a Cullerton Company. So he knew Fred Johnson, he knew all them people. He knew Mount Union, the Groves. But anyway, he taught me the ins and outs of how to get along with nothing.
Yeah.
Only news we got was a Alliance Review. And we had to walk 1/4 mile or ride a pony up to get the mail. And my dad would say, oh, Marie, did you hear the news? No, well, Pearl Harbor. Did you ever listen to his speech?
I have.
Amity, what is it he said?
A date that will live in infamy.
Infamy, yeah. What does that actually mean?
Time that people will always remember.
Yeah, well, that's what he meant.
established a supply chain 6,000 miles across the Pacific that stretched to New Zealand. Like the other democracies, we were not prepared for total war. Fortunately, under the Lend-Lease Act of March 1941.
But anyway, we listened, and gradually they formed a draft.
How old were you at that point?
Well, I must have been 19, and I'll tell you, when I got drafted and got into service, I knew nothing. The main thing they signed up for, even the Army, anything, was because, what do you think?
For a job.
No, for that meal. Everybody had to go, whether you wanted to or not.
And most important, Congress passed the Selective Service Act. For the first time in our history, we began mobilizing an army while still at peace.
The first number is serial number 158.
I don't know how I got down to Sebring, but anyway, I was leaving for the service, and my dad and mom, with tears in their eyes, they come down and had seen me off. Well, Fat Parr was a chief of police then, and a nice guy, nothing against him at all, but he run us over to Youngstown, me and a couple other farm boys. I think there was 3 or 4 of us. And he blew the siren, you know.
He took you in a police car.
Yeah, and whatever the police had back in those days. We went to Columbus, Fort Hayes they called it.
By train?
Yeah, we went by train. Yeah, the steam engine.
Okay.
Yeah. Steam engine didn't end until after the war. Oh, I wound up in San Diego as a Western defense because the Japanese hit Pearl Harbor, so they thought, well, we have to protect San Diego and California. We were along the coast. All there was jackrabbits and tumbleweed and rattlesnakes.
Yeah.
It was like a desert. I made corporal in San Diego.
Okay.
But all I did was keep an engine running for the radio. It wasn't like today. We all got cell phones in our pocket. Unbelievable. But we didn't have that stuff. I was in charge of that little engine to make sure it would fire up, spark plug change every once in a while, and check it out for the radio men in case of an attack. It was called batteries then. It wasn't platoon, it was batteries.
Okay.
A small group for anti-aircraft and searchlight. And that's what I was in. And I enjoyed that. I learned quite a bit, but we were never attacked. I thought, I don't like this crap. I'm doing nothing. I'm wasting my time and there's a war going on. Went to Camp Van Dorn, Mississippi. And I didn't know I was in the Army until I got in Camp Van Dorn, Mississippi. I was in the infantry. They had a picture on our emblem that was blood and...
Blood and fire.
Blood and fire, yeah, blood and fire, our division was, yeah. And I was tough too, because I was a farm boy, and I used to love the box. And of course that all faded, but I boxed every day. I went overseas We was 18 days going over, and I never seen such a big bunch of water in all my life.
Where did you land?
Marseille, France. Marseille, France. We landed in France, and of course the Germans realized that they were losing out. I mean, if they didn't, they were stupider than heck. You ever hear of 40 and 8?
40 and 8. No.
40 and 8. Box cars over there, they're all wooden.
Okay.
And they still had steam engines that was running out of France. Anyway, we got into these trucks after traveling, I don't know how long we traveled, but it was still dark. Then we marched. And by that time, everybody was ready to kill each other. I think it was the 4th French Army. They already had foxholes dug. And anyway, sitting there in this little smoky, and midnight, if you're ever out in midnight and you see diesels running, diesel tractors or something, well, that smoke just covers the air.
Right. It's like
and I looked around, all these French guys that was running our tanks, trying to get them stuck so they won't have to fight. The next day, we took over their foxholes, which was already dug, and they were protecting railroad tracks that our Air Corps come in and boom, put them out of commission so they couldn't haul supplies. And so I sit in there, and all night long you could see your eyes play tricks on you. Trees moving buckets. You know, you thought it was GIs, they started moving. But that's what your eyes will do to you when you're scared and frightful and in a foxhole. You know, I've always heard Germany is only not much bigger than Texas. Boy, I've walked twice that distance in Germany. It's a big place. And all of a sudden artillery come over, German artillery. And it busted right above our heads, and pamphlets flew out. These pamphlets fell down in front of our foxholes, and we picked them up, and it said, we've captured 13 of your guys, had everyone's name, and said now they got insurance. They're safe, they're with us. The best thing for you guys to do is give up. And you'll be safe too. All propaganda. Right. Of course we knew that. Yeah, the Germans were nice people, but they were misled by Hitler. Hitler wanted a superior race. Well, he didn't get it. What combat was like, it was like you was living in hell.